All right, solving more two-step equations. So the first thing I need to do with you is I need to go over just solving two-step equations in general. Okay, so if I look up at here, I have 2x plus 3 equals 9, and I have on the other side negative 2y minus 7 equals 3. Let's talk about this one first. What do I have to do to start solving this? Like, what's my first step, Nathan?
Well, you have to minus the 3.
Minus
And put it under the 9.
Minus 3, right? So I have 2x equals 6.
And then divide
by 2, divided by 2, x should be 3. Yeah. Okay, somebody else talk to me about this one. What would I do to solve this one? What's my first step, Matthew?
Plus 7.
On both sides, right? Gotta keep my balance the same. Minus 2y equals 10. Then what? Divide by negative 2. Y should be negative 1. You guys remember those things? Okay. The next thing I have to ask you about is the distributive property. Do you remember how to do the distributive property? Yes. Okay, so what do you think, Mason? What would you do?
You have to multiply 3 times x.
Okay. Okay. And then
And you have to do 3 times.
okay, so this would look like this, right? Okay. What about down over there? What's it gonna look like? Owen?
5 times 3.
Yeah. 15x minus 10. So everybody remember these two things. You have to know these two things for today. That's why we work so hard on two-step equations and distributive property. We have to know how to do these. So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about two different types. There's actually 3 types of problems we can see, but we're only going to talk about 2 because I'm going to do this 2 days because we're going to be practicing. So, today we're going to talk about whole number problems, like things that are just whole numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, things like that. We're going to talk about fractions. Tomorrow we're going to tackle the decimal. Okay, because otherwise it gets to be too long. So here's an example. So on the first page, on your first page of homework on your notebook, I want you to write whole numbers, because these are the type of problems that have whole numbers.
So what are we writing?
Whole numbers. So all the problems that I'm going to do for the next few slides have whole numbers. Okay. All right, so this is the problem we're going to do. And I'm going to show you 2 ways to solve these types of problems. You can choose whichever way you like. Okay, you decide which way you like the best for now. So, and I suggest you write both ways down, because I'm going to make you try both ways. So, okay, so here's way 1. And I call it distributive. Okay. And then I'm going to rewrite the problem just so I have it here. Okay. So one way you can solve it is this way. You can use distributive property just like what we did a slide ago. So if I distribute the 3, you can distribute through the whole thing. So this would look like 3x plus 15 equals 45. And it's a 2-step equation that we've solved. Okay, so what would you do first then to solve it? You minus 15 from both sides, right? Just like what we've done. The only difference is you're going to distribute that first, and it turns into this. So minus 15, you get 3x equals, what is it, 30? Divided by 3. Divided by 3. That should be 10. Okay, that's one way you can solve. Way 2. Jenny, wait a second. Wait a second. Okay. This one's pretty easy because it turns into a 2-step equation that we've done the last so many days. So the only difference would be this first step. All right, so this is way 2, and I call it division. Okay, and I'm just going to rewrite my problem here. All right, so if I look here, what is the sign that's in between my 3 and my parentheses? What's the sign that's there? Multiply. You're right. Remember, I have 2 things beside each other, and there's no sign in this one. How do you undo multiplication? Division, right? Okay, we've talked about that. You know how to undo multiplication, you divide. So let's divide this whole side by 3. Guess what? That cancels that 3 out. If I do it to one side, guess what? Gotta do it to the other side. Yep, so 5 by 3. 45 divided by 3 should be 15. Now I'm not done yet. I haven't done anything with the inside of my parentheses. So this is what it looks now. I'm gonna bring everything down that I haven't used yet. X plus 5 equals, well, what was 45 divided by 3? 15. So now I have a one-step equation. We did one-step equations literally the first day of this lesson. How would I solve now? Subtract 5, right? Remember my balance? Remember when we did the balance? That's this. I'm going to take 5 away from this side. 5 away from this side. Yep, always equals 10. Yep. So notice the same answer, 2 different separate ways of doing it. Some of you might say, I really like this way. Some of you may say, I like this way. You decide. You decide. Any questions so far? Kind of leaning towards one way, maybe? Okay, you try one. Try this one. Matthew, what was your question?
Which way, in your opinion?
I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you in a second. You try. You can do whatever way you want. I'll do both ways on the board. So are you happy with your distributive property? Are you happy you're going to do the division line? I'll do both. Make sure you know that that negative third, that's a negative 30 on that side. Careful there. Oh, you just have to multiply. You're combining some more things there. You don't have to do any division. You just multiply. You're distributing, remember? So like, back here. We didn't have to do any division until we got to the end. So careful. Try your best. If you don't get the answer, you don't get the answer. We're practicing. If you've ever seen this in your life, probably. Question, Matthew?
This doesn't exactly pertain to this, but do you think we'll have school on Thursday?
We talk about it later than that.
Wait, is next week?
We're not talking about it right now. I'm not talking about it right now. Okay, I'm not going to get off topic right now. All right, so how many of you did the distributive way? How many like that? How many of you did the division way? Okay, so this is distributive way. If you distributed, this is what it should look like. 5n minus 10 equals negative 30, right? If you were dividing, this is what you did. The first step you did was this. Okay, right? And then you ended up with this. You guys would have started to add 10, add 10. You would have had 5n equals negative 20. Divide by 5, divide by 5, n should be negative 4. If you were this person, you were adding 2 to both sides, adding 2, guess what? Still negative 4. Still negative 4. So how do you feel so far? You feel okay? Okay, I'm going to give you another one. This time, I want you to try the opposite way. I want you to just trust me. I want you to try the opposite way. Yep? That's fine. I don't care what you choose then. Okay? You do this one here. Try the opposite way of what you've done now. Just try it.
Wait, what was the answer?
Negative 4. Jerry, you want me to go back this way?
No.
So you can see it? I'm talking about it. You mean to go back so you can take a look? Okay, I can get it here.
I have a question. For what example would we need to use the other option? Now we don't want to use.
I'll tell you in a second. What are you using?
I don't know.
If you don't know, then I can't even help you out. So
I don't know the problem.
Yeah, I know, I was looking at, can I go to the next one now? Okay, so this one right here. Yep, you do it the opposite way of what you've done. See if you can do the other way. Yeah, minus 2, why are you dividing by 2? Because you said you could get minus 8 both sides. Minus 8, minus 8. Don't confuse yourself, it's exactly what we did the other day. Minus 8 on both sides, minus 2. You told me how to do the one on the board. You know how to do it. Do your best, and after this, then I'll tell you what I think. Anybody need a second yet? Can I go on? Okay, so how many of you had to do the distributive way this time? Okay, how many of you did the other way? You did the division way this time. Okay, so distributing, this is what yours looked like. Okay? If you did the division way, this is what yours looked like. Okay? Either one. Fine. What's up?
Do you have a second that I can ask you a question?
Sure.
I don't know how to turn Netflix on.
All right, so minus 8, you should get 2x equals 12. Divide by 2, divide by 2, you should get x is 6. Same thing over here, you're going to get x is 6. Now you might be wondering what my favorite way of doing it is. When I first see problems like this with whole numbers, my brain immediately goes to distributive property. But division is actually easier when you hit fractions and decimals. Now let me show you why, okay? Because I'm going to have a fraction come up, and I'll show you why division way is easier. Are you ready? So in your notebook, what I want you to do is I want you to write the fractions now, because before we wrote whole numbers, now you're going to write fractions. And then I want you to write this problem. I want you to, so this is fractions, and I want you to write this problem. I'm going to do it both ways, and I want you to notice the word difference. I know a lot of us don't like to do work. Right? I know. I know you do. So just notice the word difference between the two types. Okay? So I'm going to do distributive way over here. You can write both down in your notebook if you want. So it's 2/3 and then m plus 6 equals 10. So I'm going to distribute that 2/3. Okay, so here's the bad part about distributing a fraction. It's not always easy. It's not always easy. Well, I know 2/3 times 1 would be 2/3 n. Okay? But what about 2/3 times 6? Anybody know? If you don't know, I guess what you got to do, 2/3 times 6 over 1, which is 12 over 3, which is 4. 4 would go to that, because 2/3 times 6 is 4. And then you got to keep going, you got to do equals 10. Okay?
That's hard.
Now listen, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. So then I got a minus, stop talking. I got a minus 4 for both sides. Then I have 2/3 n equals 6. Then I'm down to stuff you guys know how to do. Divide by 2/3. Divide by 2/3. It'd be 6 over 1 times 3 over 2, which is 18 over 2, which is 9. X is, or n, whatever it is, 9. Okay? See the work here?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay, that's a lot of work, right? Let's do the other side. Let's do the division way. 2/3 n plus 6 equals 10. So you're going to divide like you would normally do. Divide by 2/3. I'm going to divide by 2/3. Well, I have to solve this. Okay, so it'd be 10 over 1 times 3 over 2. Goes once, goes in 5 times. That's going to be 15 over 1 eventually. I just did my division. just like normal.
Wait, so what's?
I'm not done yet. So once, did you do this? Landon?
What?
10 over 1 times 3 over 2, because I had to change it. So it'll be like this. And I flipped it, and I got 15.
Oh, shoot, I remember that.
Then I do n plus 6 equals 15. Minus 6, oh, n is 9. Look at the work difference.
That looks way easier.
Look at the work difference, yeah. The reason why is you only have to deal with your fraction one time over here. I had to do it like 3 times over here. Right?
Yes.
Landon.
I got n with 2/3, not 6. Like, I put 2/3 with n.
No, you don't, no, when you're dividing, you don't put it with the n, you don't distribute it. You divide it first. There's no distributing involved. You guys see what I'm talking about? Should we try another one? This is why it's important to show work, and it hasn't since day one, because if you haven't been shown work, you have no idea what I've been doing. Okay? Alright, so let's do this one. Let's do this one. You want to try by yourself? Sure. See if you can do it. See if you can do it. If you want to distribute, you can do that. But no, you're going to have to work with fractions.
So what would the d be for the one?
What?
What would pair up with the d?
A 1? Nothing. If you're going to divide, nothing pairs with b. If you're going to distribute, then yes, it would be 1/4 b.
Oh,
But you don't. If you're not going to distribute, you don't need a pair with. Try your best. Try what we just did. Actually, that's negative. Remember, it's a negative 15. Remember, it's a negative 15. You're right. Okay, you guys know what you can do. You can do 3 minus 3 equals, what you have here? Negative 60. Negative 60. No, no, you're not dividing. It's your balance.
Oh.
Take your time. No, it's negative 60 plus 3. It's negative 60. It's like 60 cats and 3 dogs. Yeah, that's right, except for this part. Negative 60 plus 2 is not negative 60. It's has like cats and 3 dogs. 3 dogs in a row, so we're 3 cats. One cat. Oh, if you're going to distribute, you have to distribute. You can't do that. It would be 3/4. Okay, listen, Lulu. You're going to distribute, right? Is that what you wanted to do?
yeah.
Distribute? If you're going to distribute, you have to distribute through the whole thing. So it looks like this. 1/4 b minus 3 times a fourth would be 3/4 equals negative 15. Like you have to distribute through the whole parentheses, not just the first letter. Remember when we did distributive property? You distributed through the whole thing. That's what you're forgetting to do. You're forgetting to distribute through the whole parentheses. Okay? Because you just did this, and then you just made this 3. Well, you have to take 1/4 times 3. You have to distribute through the whole thing. Yikes. I'm going to put this to the side. Okay, I'm guessing many of you divided.
Yes.
Okay. So divide by 4, divide by 4. So then you have negative 15 over 1 times 4 over 1, right? Negative 60. Don't forget negative. Then it'd be D minus 3 equals negative 60. Plus 3, this is where a lot of you got in trouble. You thought it was negative 63, but it's negative plus positive. Which would be negative 7 in the end.
Yes.
Okay, so Landon, let's go back to your way.
Oh, no.
That's okay.
Might need to.
That's
I
right.
have 1/4 D minus.
Yeah, because you forgot to distribute through the whole thing. You have to distribute through the whole parenthesis. That's why that's why it's hard to use the fractions to distribute, because you're gonna have more fractions in there. Then you're gonna have the plus 3/4, the plus 2/4, and this would be a negative 4 and a 4, 14 and a 4. Who wants to deal with a fraction like that? I don't either. I don't either. N-O. So do you want to try another one? Should we try a new one? Complete new one? All right, let's try a complete new one. If I do, let's do half, I'm gonna make easy numbers. C plus 6, end of parentheses, equals negative 8. Okay, so you try. What's your plan? Okay, okay. Be 1/2 C then. That was what I used. Okay. And then plus, and then half times 6, yeah. This is the easy one to work really good together. Yeah. Oh, no, you're gonna get 11 now. Now you're gonna get it. The thing about it is, it could get super messy if like it didn't go well together with that 3. You see what I mean? Like if you multiply, it doesn't go all together, sometimes it just won't go well. All right, how are we doing? How are we doing? Perfect. Make sure you remember your signs. How you doing back here? If you would keep changing. This would be that's fine. You just did 8 by the way too. How are we doing? Oh, 8 times 2 is negative 16. Oh, I don't know what you're using there. Where's yours at? Hey, I hope you divide it by half. Except for Landon, he's gonna go away. So would have been negative 8 over 1 times 2 over 1, and negative 16. And then C plus 16, oh, I'm sorry, 6 equals 16.
Negative
3. Correct? That's right, right? Minus 6, keep change. C should have been negative 22.
Whoa.
What is that? Negative 22. I'm guessing, if anything, this is where you had problems.
Mm-hmm.
Careful. You're subtracting, you have a negative, you gotta change. I'm gonna give you one more of these, because I think you need it. Okay, I'll do another one. I'll make it up. I'll try to make it easy numbers to work with. Let's do 2/3, parentheses, I don't know, F plus 9, and the parentheses equals 12. No negative, we'll leave them out this way. I don't know what this is. I should just do it. Oh. Comes out to your whole number. Okay, you're right. Now, just so you know, I did it so these ones together well. You might have a 2/3 in, I don't know, 14 minutes. And it's not gonna be a whole number. It's a fraction. Just so you're aware, that could easily, very easily happen.
Oh, that's what it's called. So are they gonna be easier or harder in this worksheet?
Worksheet. So,
Worksheet, I got out of the book.
it's mediocre. I mean, it's some fractions, some whole numbers. Or was already gonna do word problems?
Not today. Probably not.
Yes,
We're
I
not
do
doing
get proof.
decimals. We're just gonna do, yeah,
I
but
give them a money.
in one second.
Should there be like another lesson over this?
Oh, we haven't used it.
So,
I'm gonna do another part of this tomorrow. So I'm gonna do the decimals tomorrow. Because I think we just need to take one step at a time. All right, what questions do you have for me? The answer to this was 9. Okay, so the answer was 9. And I'm gonna have you get out your book, so you can go grab your book, because I'm gonna talk about some of these problems. Yeah.
What do you think about the snowstorm? That's the question.
In all honesty, I haven't even watched the weather.
You haven't?